Okay, welcome back to another week of Ghost in the Scene. We are back on our regular schedule. I'm your host, Gio, and I'm with my co-host, Rob. How's it going, Rob?
Hey everyone, I am glad that we are back. We've had a pretty intense week this week. Up is now down, down is now up. Feeling a little dizzy from all that. But I got a pretty strong stomach. I'm not going to be upchucking anytime soon. I will not be doing so on air. I will be holding that down for all of you. But yeah, wow, what a crazy times. I can't believe it.
Yeah, so the Caspers went off, we thought, without a hitch,
Mm-mm.
and we were pretty satisfied. I mean, I felt pretty happy with myself after we finished and wrapped. But we were, doing some house cleaning. We were looking into the winners, and turns out we were completely compromised, and we exposed a lot of our fans to some dangerous ghosts. So we apologized, and hopefully you guys heard our apology. So we don't want to dwell on our mistakes. We're going to investigate our mistakes. That's what this next couple of weeks is going to be all about. This is an autopsy into the 2019 Caspers. We're going to get right into it with the biggest of the bunch. This is what really was the red flag for me. Sherlock Gnomes. We gave a Casper Award for Best Ghost Impersonation to the cast and crew of Sherlock Gnomes. It was a fatal mistake, and we're going to find out how it happened. So, Rob, you gave the award to Sherlock Gnomes. What happened?
I mean, I think I just want to say that this is an experience that I think is important for all of us to learn and to know that you always check the receipts. Just because some sort of vote happens, you can't take its word for it until you get verification. So I think that's just like a PSA, just in general, to everyone out there when you're considering things like this. But the night of the Caspers, I thought things were going well. We were inviting ghosts. That's part of us is on us. Like, this is new territory that we're in. So obviously we understood that we were opening ourselves up to danger. But I thought, having parity between ghosts and humans, I thought would create some buffer. I was mistaken. In the moment, I just felt this urge to call out Sherlock Gnomes specifically. Looking back, I was probably possessed.
I couldn't see your eyes because you were in the ghost dimension. And so, but I could hear that your eyes were kind of glazed over when you said Sherlock Gnomes. I could hear your eyes.
I
And
mean,
that's what tipped me off.
and I should have known. Like, I couldn't even get in the building that night. We had rented out the Paramount Theater, China Theater, whichever, whatever, after the Oscars, and we packed the joint.
Oh yeah.
But I couldn't get inside. There was like some sort of force, and
It was an evil force.
that really should have been the first alarm. But I was so focused on delivering the show, making sure that it was getting out there. I didn't want to let any of you out there listening and watching, knowing this is our biggest night of the year. So I just went ahead anyway, despite the clear warning signs.
So we let ghosts in, right? And we had the rule that you could bring in a ghost guest as long as they were friendly.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm angry to say it, but we let some Hollywood people in, and they brought some bad ghosts. I mean, there's no other way to say it, but the celebrities, they weren't very discerning with their ghost friends. And I'm not going to blame them. I'm not going to blame all of them for that, because we didn't have the right security protocol. We didn't have anybody at the door checking the ghost IDs, or the ghost, what do you call it? The metal detector, the paranormal spirit evil detector. We only have one or two wands where we can scan people, and other people, they fly over, they go under. There's no way of
go through walls.
All the ghosts, exactly. So it's our fault. We take full responsibility, but there's some play very evil things at play here. So we're going to figure out exactly what's going on with the movies that won these awards. So Sherlock Gnomes is going to be our first target. Guys, first of all, Johnny Depp is in Sherlock Gnomes. Johnny Depp is Sherlock Gnomes. So he has a Casper, and I'm trying to sue him legally to get it back. I don't know if I have any legal grounds since we gave it to him. I'm not sure if I can take it back, but I'm trying my hardest. But just
I'm calling UPS. I'm trying to get that package rerouted.
Yeah,
But it's tough.
hopefully he hasn't signed for it yet, and we can get that package back, because if he gets it in his hands, who knows the power that will be added to his strength. I'm not sure, because I did imbibe a lot of power into the Caspers. I handmade each one, so I just don't want to live in a world where he gets to celebrate an award where I didn't realize I was giving it to him. And I'm not going to blame you either, Rob. I'm going to blame the ghost that haunted you, that possessed you. But we got to find out who this ghost was. So Sherlock Gnomes is a movie that came out in 2018, but its story does not really start in 2018. It actually starts a lot earlier than that. So this was the brainchild of somebody that was in Rocket Pictures. Do you know about Rocket Pictures, Rob?
Yeah, this is an up-and-coming production company, down here, around the professional rags. We're hearing a little bit, more and more buzz about Rocket Pictures. It is the vehicle for Elton John and his own production company. It's his manifesto, if you will, in this late stages of his career. And they're going around and they're producing films. So it's something that we've seen, a trajectory we've seen in recent years too, of these kind of big pop celebrity stars are dipping their toes into Hollywood's waters.
Interesting. So I looked into Rocket Pictures, and it was a British film company that was started in 1996.
I'm spooked.
Wow. So think about that. 96 is when it started. And then you have its first 10 years, its first decade. So from 96 to 2006, they had a contract with the Walt Disney Company. So Elton John is working with Walt Disney in the 90s up to the 2000s, and they're producing films, right? They're making plans for the future. And one of the seeds that they kind of sowed in the early 90s was Romeo and Juliet, which was the prequel to Sherlock Gnomes, right?
Yes, that was actually in 2011. We're jumping ahead here. In the 90s, we were having some light romantic comedies, women talking dirty, it's a boy-girl thing. These are small, independent English things. They're really just testing the waters. But you look at the dates, 1999, 2006. But then we get Romeo and Juliet in 2011, which, on its surface, it doesn't look too bad. But, then you look at the release date and you see it's January 23rd, 2011. So 2 + 3 = 6, and January is 1. You tack that on to the other remaining ones. Well, that's 3 ones total.
That's 3 ones. That's 666.
And not to mention that the film also co-stars Ozzy Osbourne.
Ozzy Osbourne is best friends with the devil. So,
and I don't want to say that Ozzy Osbourne is necessarily a problematic person in itself, but he does have connections with the devil.
I mean, it just happens that they're best friends. I'm not telling a lie. I'm just saying that, nothing on Ozzy's character. It's just his best friend is the devil. They just happen to be best friends. You don't really get to choose your best friend. When you just click with somebody, it works. So with Ozzy, it's just he's really good friends with the devil. They both like, I think, the Cubs or something, nachos. They have a lot to connect on. So, real quick, Emily Blunt is the co-star of Romeo and Juliet, and she's also in Sherlock Gnomes. Emily Blunt's birthday is January 23rd.
Wow. See, exactly. So this movie is made specifically to raise Emily Blunt's power in some way. There's obviously a spell. This movie was made with her in mind.
Exactly. This is like none of this is by chance, right? This is all fate. We're all in some weird master plan. Someone is putting this all together on the chessboard and letting this play out. And we are also on the chessboard, and for some reason we're self-aware. We know that we're on a board, and we know that we're playing a game. So let's play a little bit, and let's see what we can get this round. So Emily Blunt, let's go into her. She's a British actress, right? Married to John Krasinski.
Another Casper winner. So I also want to say, like, this award show, this breach, we were talking about Sherlock Gnomes, but this calls into question the entire legitimacy of the entire Casper Award. So if you have not heard any of the films that we have announced this year, please stay away. They're highly radioactive in terms of paranormal activity with bad ghosts. And as you can see, and as we're going to demonstrate to you, they are all connected.
So Emily Blunt was in Sherlock Gnomes. We give her an award. Emily Blunt was in A Quiet Place. We give her an award with John Krasinski. So the connection is right there, guys. A Quiet Place is connected to Sherlock Gnomes via Emily Blunt.
And this is going to be a powerful year for her as well. She just turned 36, everyone.
Wow. This, and not only that, but she is going to be starring in 3 sequels. Or since Sherlock Gnomes, she's actually starred in 3 sequels. Let's Mary Poppins Returns. Now, if you guys don't know about Mary Poppins, this was an old movie, right? The old Mary Poppins movie probably came out in like the 60s. Then you have Mary Poppins Returns this year, this 2018, this past year that came out. That's the first sequel. Then A Quiet Place 2, another sequel to The Quiet Place, already coming out in 2020. And then she's in another movie that's a sequel called Live, Die, Repeat, and Repeat, which is The Edge of Tomorrow, Tom Cruise. Now she's doing another sequel. That's 3 sequels. 3 times 2, because a sequel is a second movie, right? That's 6. 666, guys. Because I mean,
if there's like any doubters still out there, I mean, if the math is too complicated, we understand that math can kind of go over a lot of people's heads. Guys, The Devil Wears Prada. That was the breakout film for Emily Blunt. So I don't know what more we need to tell you to get you on board here.
Yeah, guys, if you're not on board with us, turn off this podcast. If you're not on board by now, I'm sorry, we can't do anything for you. We can't save you if you don't want to be saved, because we're giving you facts. The Devil Wears Prada. That is a fact. And the fact is, Emily Blunt cut her teeth making this movie. She became sharper, stronger, faster, smarter through the working of this film. And who was she working with? The devil. Who was next to the devil? Ozzy Osbourne. His best friend on set every day, bringing him bagels, bringing him, coffee. So she gets to know Ozzy Osbourne during The Devil Wears Prada. He tells her about Elton John. He probably went on tour with Elton. They're both musicians, right? Both from Britain. And so just, she meets Elton in who knows when. And then he gets her into Sherlock Gnomes and also Romeo and Juliet. I mean, this is just Hollywood nepotism. It's who you know. It's, it's your best friend gets to go on the movie set with you. And even if you're the devil, It's stuff like that. And Emily Blunt has been a part of all of this. And we have to kind of like make a distinction that this is Europe. This is London. This is British. All of this, even Sherlock Gnomes and Romeo and Juliet, these are Shakespeare and, what's his name? Arthur Conan Doyle, all from England. These are all stories based in Europe, not American stories that we're telling here. But we have not American production companies that are involved. So real quick, I want to get into some of the kind of specifics of who created Sherlock Gnomes. So I looked into the animation, who made all the animation and all that stuff. Well, it turns out it was a company called Micros Image. And Micros Image is a French company founded in 1985. And it specifically works on visual effects in European films, but they've recently been dabbling in some American films. Now, they have 9 facilities, right? None in America. So they have 3 in Paris, which is in France, 2 in London, in England, 1 in Montreal, Canada, 2 in Belgium, and 1 in India. So
honestly, they're making movies for American audiences, but they can't step foot inside America.
It's almost like how you weren't able to step inside of the Caspers, right? Like the force field is too much, right? That there's something about the American ghosts that's very exclusive, right? The Hollywood ghosts, I think they're a little petty. They're snobby because they've worked on movies in Hollywood forever, right? Since the beginning of time. And now you have all these European ghosts and they want a piece of the pie. Everyone wants a piece of the pie. And I think the American ghosts are just a little stingy. They don't want to give away all of their good people that they feed on. They're feeding on all of us. And the Europeans, they want to taste. And so that's what I think is happening.
And I'm curious to see what happens once the bridge between the two actually happens, and we actually see the European ghosts start to infiltrate America. And I think there's one person that is the person for that job, who constantly is between the United States and Europe, someone that we all know very well, that we have proven that this is the case. And that would be our dear, I was going to say dear friend, but I feel like I'm still somewhat possessed because he is no friend at all. Our nemesis, Johnny Depp.
John Man Depp. Exactly. So now all the pieces are kind of starting to come together because we have Emily Blunt and Ozzy Osbourne working on The Devil Wears Prada with the devil. Then we have Johnny Depp in Europe working for different companies and different, Salvage, selling his vampire, scented. I don't even what do you call it? It's not cologne. It's some kind of musk or something. So you have Micros Image. They're making movies all across Europe, working for Technicolor, which means that they're probably literally in every single movie.
That's frightening.
And they've been making movies and visual effects since the 80s. So every movie that you can imagine has been touched somewhat by Micros. The Ninth Gate, the SpongeBob movie, Captain Underpants the movie, Sahara, starring what do you call it? It was a French Canadian movie, 3D movies. These guys don't play around, and they're working with Rocket Man. And let's get into we kind of talked about the music side of it, right? Elton John is a musician. But we have to ask ourselves, what the hell is he doing in movies? Like, really, what does Elton John have any right to work in film and produce movies? Like, Freddie Mercury was a ghost, and they took his ghost and they made a movie out of him, and they turned all of that. So he didn't really have a say. in anything, and they immortalized his ghost and canonized his ghost. But Elton is alive. He has overall say over what's happening, and yet he is still letting them kind of churn him into a ghost somehow. I'm not sure what's going on.
It's a very interesting play. I mean, this is something that goes back a long time as well. You have Ray Charles's ghost being reprised for Ray, Johnny Cash's ghost being reprised for Walk the Line, and now we have Elton John. And it's almost as if Elton's looking at this trajectory, and he sees the abuse that his friends have gone through, his fellow musicians, because especially with this last round of Freddie, it's just that the abuse that they put Freddie's ghost through is just pretty appalling. And, this could be a way to own his own narrative.
Interesting. Now, there's one thing about this whole story that just kind of stinks to high heaven. If you know that Hollywood is inherently evil and chews and spits people out and all of that, right? If that's all given, and if you're somebody who is, I believe, as smart as Elton John, who knows about the industry, why would you allow your music into the movies that were, I mean, he was in a 10-year deal with Disney, right? I just don't understand why he's allowing for his music to be in movies, because now he is setting himself up to become a ghost. Maybe not by his own will. He might be trapping himself without realizing it. And I think maybe a cynical take on this would be that he's doing it on purpose, right? That he is actually turning himself into a pre-ghost so that when he eventually passes, he will already be immortalized and worshipped as a ghost via his movies and music in movies. And he will have the Freddie Mercury treatment while still retaining the ownership of, his ghostly presence, because he will own Rocket Pictures even when he's a ghost. I mean, if this is true, it is diabolical what Elton John is doing, and I can't support it.
Well, I mean, but at the same time, I can't 100% blame the guy, because he is at such a level of celebrity. He's been, writing these spells as a songwriter for years, and they're amazing spells. I remember just shouting them at the top of my lungs, all these spells that he's written over the years. It's powerful stuff, and I think he looks at the landscape. He knows he's already trapped. He's already in the system that will take advantage of ghosts and the spells that you write, especially if you're successful. So, I mean, at a certain point, I understand where he's coming from, of wanting to try to take ownership over his own ghostliness, because at some point, Gio, we're all going to be ghosts in some way.
It's true.
And I think that's something we all have to prepare for. And I think he's looking at his life, and whether it ends up being diabolical or not, I think is yet to be seen. I think it's interesting that all the ads too, you see him wearing his famous glasses. To me, that kind of speaks to safety. You're blocking out some of the ghosts, the ghost rays. I'm hoping that those are some good ghost filters in those glasses.
And yet, I also see.
I know some. I know the materials when I see them.
It looks like he's flying, though. In one of these images, it looks like he's like flying above his piano. I mean, here's the thing. I know that you're trying to give it a positive, tilt on this whole thing, because you love his spells, and I'm just gonna say it. This might be a possession kind of afterthought. You might still be in the grip of something, because I'm seeing this movie and I'm getting scared. I'm getting a feeling like my heart is getting like it's shrinking or something, because the implications of this. Now, there's something that you said that kind of made me think a little bit. So you say that everybody becomes a ghost at some point, and I will concede that yes, everyone does become a spirit, but
Mm,
I do not know if everybody becomes a ghost. And we're scientists, so I would, if there was a way to measure that, we would have measured it by now. So there's still some tools yet that we have to find to measure these kind of things. So I don't know if there is a way to guarantee that we're going to become a ghost. And I think that this is a very amateurish way to become a ghost. Is you put yourself in a movie, you release your spells as songs in film, and that's kind of a way to anchor yourself in the cultural zeitgeist, to create possibly what I believe is either a ghost or a shell of a ghost, which could possibly be where demons come from. I mean, this is all early speculation. We're still looking up the numbers and gathering all of our figures, but this is the kind of thing that I fear, and I'm not so sure that Rocket Man is going to be a movie that is about ghost safety, even if he's wearing glasses, Rob. I don't buy it.
definitely, yeah. And I didn't want to necessarily put one way or the other. For me, it's too early to speculate whether this is completely good or bad. Um, I'm trying to gather all the evidence at the moment, but I think at least what it shows that he is aware. He is definitely aware that there are ghosts all around this film. They're filling this up to the brim with ghosts. So that could be why he is taking these certain precautions, because he understands the power that he's dealing with. Whether he uses that power for good or evil, I
Mhm.
think is whether to be seen. I think it's really important to be skeptical of it, though, because with that many ghosts, as we saw from the Caspers, even with good intentions, you fill the place with that many ghosts, you're opening yourself up to some security breaches.
Exactly. And that's the kind of thing that we're going to try to work on for next Caspers. We are, we're going to hire the Hells Angels or something, or maybe the Angels. I'm not
Mm,
sure if the Angels will be free, but we need somebody to kind of have a safety net, because we are very busy on stage doing all of the stuff backstage, up on stage, the music performances, the lighting, the sound. I can't be in the front door checking people's pockets if they have a ghost knife.
right.
I can't be in the rafters with a sniper looking for people who are trying to do us harm. So we need people, professionals, security contractors out there. If you guys know anybody, send us an email. We need protection, ghost protection. Please.
We have reached out to the Blue Angels, but if you have any connections to any of the pilots, let us know. The hypersonic boom coming from the outside of it
Hmm.
evaporates the ghosts. It's a very effective method.
Hmm.
But of course, when we're doing a show, it's not usually the best for a podcast to have those
Yeah.
noises
Most
for
people are looking up at the sky at that point. They don't really care about what we have to say. It's the Blue Angels, and they're the show that people want to see, which is kind of sad for us. But I mean, that's just the way things go.
yeah, yeah.
We can't do what they do. Real quick though, on the case of Elton John, he was already a geologist. He was working on crocodile rocks and all of his studies on that,
Mhm.
and he was working on rockets. I mean, real quick, we talk about Rocket Man and Rocket Pictures when we should be talking about SpaceX Man and SpaceX Pictures.
Hmm.
I mean, and I mean, look up. This is for the viewers. If you guys are near any like a phone or anything, or I mean, you're listening to us, so obviously you're near some kind of technology. So look up Elton John, young Elton John, and then look up Elon Musk. And I want you to Photoshop Elton John's glasses on Elon Musk's face. And I don't want to go any further, but I just I'm gonna give you a moment to just gasp, because you should be afraid. I don't know if it's time travel. I don't know if it's reincarnation. I don't know what it is.
Or some sort of double because they're both alive.
They are both alive at the same time, roughly probably like 30 years apart in age, or 20 or something years. I don't know what this is, a doppelganger or what, but I'm just saying that Rocket Man, SpaceX Man, it's too close to call. I'm not sure, and that's what this couple weeks is going to be about. Like I said, this is an autopsy into what we did wrong, and there's a lot of movies that we gave awards to. So we're going to have to go into each movie and figure out what's going on. Obviously, Sherlock Gnomes was a bad choice. And Rob, we can't blame you. You were possessed. We still don't know who possessed you. So we still have to figure that out. But at least we know that we're on the right track, that Sherlock Gnomes does not and will never, ever deserve a Casper.
No, of course. I think that's what tipped us off as well. And they did a good job of trying to hide it. And for the press of this film, they buried the fact that Johnny was even in this film. They wanted us to forget. That was part of the spell of Sherlock Gnomes. I think this was a movie made specifically to infiltrate the Caspers and get into our systems. Obviously, they did not breach our firewall. That's how we are broadcasting to you today. They did not succeed in their ultimate goal to take us down. That will never happen. We are resilient, a lot more than I think they give us credit for.
Johnny may try, but Johnny will fail each time.
He may be stalking me, at every corner, but I know he's there. And speaking of Johnny, here's a little bit of food for thought as well. So Johnny Depp was previously in a relationship with Amber Heard, a known person.
Amber Heard what?
This is what I heard.
Okay.
She heard the sweet spells, the coming from the music of a distant rocket man, if you will, because apparently Elon Musk took Amber Heard romantically right underneath Johnny Depp in the relationship after they were married in 2015.
Wow. So, I mean, guys, if you're not even like shivering by now, if you don't have goosebumps, if you're not sweating from fear and panic, I don't know what to tell you. You rewind a couple minutes because you're not listening. This is incredible. So the Rocket Man, Elon Musk, aka possibly doppelganger Elton John, already is involved with Amber Heard and Johnny Depp. So they're connected. This is all connected. This is a giant web. And I'm so glad that we are here to kind of dispel this web and to untangle it, because frankly, I don't think there's anybody else in the world that even cares enough about what we're doing. So congratulations to you and me for even, going this deep, because some people, I mean, look at the Oscars. They have their Moonlight moment, and where's their investigation into that? Right? What happened? They messed up, and they didn't investigate. They just kind of swept it under the rug, and then, that's that. Move on. Not us. We're professionals. We know how to treat our guests, and we know how to treat our listeners with respect. And if we mess up, we are going to tell you, and we're going to fix it. And that's what we're doing.
And we're going to come back with a better show next year. It's going to be better for everyone. I mean, just look at the Oscars. They had a ghost host this year. A lot of these films that we've mentioned were also winners at the Oscar, which are now known to be toxic ghost films. So Hollywood, they need to get their act together. They're obviously spiraling out of control. And that's what happens when you just try to sweep it under the rug. You sweep one ghost under the rug, you're going to sweep 2, 3. Suddenly, your whole house is filled with ghosts.
And it's all under the rug. And, how big is this rug? How many ghosts are you going to sweep under that rug? And is there space? Can they breathe? Is the quality of air even good under that rug? And this is the kind of thing that breeds resentment between the worlds. When we try to have a ghost peaceful show experience, and all of these ghosts under the rug, they're all stuffy and angry. Once they get out of the rug, they're going to be pissed. So we have no one to blame except for whoever it is, and we're gonna find out who this thing, entity, person, group, organization. We don't know, but we're going to find out. And so until next time, guys, stay in the scene. And we are so sorry for what we did, but we are trying our hardest to right this wrong.
And thank you for continuing to listen to us and support us through all of this, and for all of the advice as well. We can't get through any of this without our street team. So thank you for everyone reaching out. You're part of the first line of defense out there as well. We always love collaborating with you. So thank you for continuing to trust us through this process. As we said before, this is a grind moment. I think being staunchly anti-ghost is unrealistic and combative. And we're all on this journey together to learn how to have more peaceful coexistence. We're glad to have you along with us on that journey, because it takes all of us. That's what it's going to take, everyone.
That's right. So until next time, guys, stay in the scene.
Stay extreme.
And take care.